Millions of people get sued every year for old credit cards and other outstanding debts, but not all of those debts are legitimate.
Yeah, and consumers almost never have an attorney, and they often lose the case. So the I-Team's Katie Wilcox, she spoke with one tech startup working to change all that. Katie?
Yeah, Troy, when someone gets sued in a debt, a lot of times they have no idea what to do, and they don't have the means to hire a lawyer. This tech company offers a unique solution that gives consumers a more even playing field. Around the country, from North Carolina,
they sent a sheriff to my door,
to Arizona.
This came out of the blue.
Consumers are shocked.
I had no idea what this was about.
When they get served.
That did scare me.
Sherry Spector and Ann Munoz are just two of the millions of people hit with a debt collection lawsuit.
This was different.
Both women were sued by a major debt collector, Portfolio Recovery Associates. It's just one of the largest debt collection companies nationwide. And to put it in perspective, the I-Team found it filed more than 20,000 lawsuits in Maricopa County alone in just 2 years. And that's a drop in the bucket.
We estimate around 10 million a year are filed. It's one of the primary activities that happen in state courthouses like the one behind us.
George Simons launched a tech startup to make those cases easier to handle.
Pretty much never does a lawyer take on the defendant's case.
As many as 90% of debtors don't have legal counsel and don't know what to do. What are the biggest sort of pitfalls that you see when someone gets a debt collection lawsuit?
Number one pitfall is not responding. Right? So if somebody gets sued, a lot of times they won't respond. We're changing that. We're making it very easy for people to respond and engage with the collector.
Simon's company is called Solo. It offers a simple form to help consumers file a response to a lawsuit or negotiate a settlement.
So if they don't respond to the lawsuit, they'll lose by default.
And a default judgment adds fees and interest.
That is a very conservative estimate. Wow. To say that you'll pay an extra 70%. Very conservative.
Just because of the lawsuit. But Solo will negotiate with the debt collector, sometimes avoiding a lawsuit altogether.
So to date, people have brought $1.5 billion in debt lawsuits onto our platform to get those resolved.
It's a service that may have helped consumers like Ann or Sherry, who found mistakes in the lawsuits against them.
Sometimes mistakes happen, and those cases should be resolved, and the person shouldn't pay money if they don't owe money. For a lot of these cases, the consumer does recognize that they owe some money and they want to pay that back.
Either way, the point is, don't ignore a lawsuit.
When you come after me wrongfully, I'm going to make as much noise as possible.
Ann defended herself without a lawyer. Sherry did get an attorney. Both got their cases thrown out.
I just have chills right now because just hearing that was just complete vindication.
I'm not backing down.
And Sherry Spector was also part of a class action lawsuit against Portfolio Recovery Associates, and she actually won money back. And Munoz, as we had previously reported, it looks like the same company actually filed a lawsuit against a woman by the same name in another state.
Oh,
so
wow.
Those were some of the mistakes.
So she was getting charged with somebody else's debt.
As far as we can tell, it looks like that was a possibility.
So the key is, I think, when you have a debt, you try to negotiate if you can with the original debtor, or the dettee, I guess you'd say, the person you bought from. Because once it gets to these collection companies, they're buying this debt for pennies on the dollar, and their whole job is just to get that money back.
That's exactly right. So a lot of the times what we're seeing is these large debt collectors will buy bulk amounts of debt from someone, credit card companies that just want to offline it. They're like, okay, it's been however many years, we haven't been able to collect on this. They'll sell it to at least get back some of their money, and then these debt collectors can go after you for the full amount of whatever it may be. And then once you get to a lawsuit, they're going to add the fees, the court fees you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay their attorney's fees most likely. There could be interest on the debt. So it just goes up and up and up and up. And that's why a tech company like this, who's trying to negotiate that settlement, it can wipe out a lot of those fees that you might get after the fact, and hopefully even be able to get that debt down a little bit for you as well. So that's a big part of what Solo Settle does, and then Solo Suit can also help you file those answers.
And is there a charge to have these tech fees help you out?
There is a charge. It's going to be a lot less than an hourly fee that like an attorney would do, and a lot of attorneys won't even take a case like this because usually that amount that you're trying to settle over is so small that it's not going to be worth their time or even worth your time. So this offers a much lower cost answer. And what was so interesting to me about them is that when I was doing all of these stories about debt collection, there's so few resources for people that's really why George kind of stepped into this role and was like, well, we've got to have people get access to this and be able to negotiate for themselves and work for themselves and get to a good answer.
All right. Well, thank you. Interesting reporting. Appreciate it.
Thank you.